What's up guys, this is Valentina with Bigger Creations, and if you're new to this channel, I make videos about how I produce my own songs, and I teach you some things that I've learned about music production with over 10 years of producing my own music. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing, make sure you've got notifications so you don't miss future videos, and yeah, let's jump into it. So today I'm gonna talk about 3 stock plugins inside of Logic Pro that are super underrated, and I'm gonna show you how to use them. So let's jump into it, shall we? Okay, so the first plugin I wanna talk about today is the Exciter. Basically, the Exciter adds additional harmonics in the high end for whatever you put it on. So in this example, I'm gonna be using vocals, but you can use this on whatever kind of track you want. I'm gonna give you a little preview of what we're working with here. It's just a quick mix, pretty raw vocal that's dry with just some EQ, compression, and a de-esser. So let's take a listen.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around. Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a dry vocal. Let's add an exciter. So if you go down to Specialized and Exciter, here we go. So it's a really simple plugin. What we've got here is you can select the frequency that you'd like to impact or add additional harmonics. These are artificial harmonics. So typically you want to add them in the high end because that's where the ear can't distinguish whether they're artificial or real. When you go to the lower frequencies, it's a little more obvious. So this is designed to add some harmonics, artificial harmonics, to the high end frequencies. So you can select the frequency that you want to channel here, and then you can select basically the intensity. How many harmonics do you want to add? And then you've got a color 1 and a color 2 knob. The color 1 has some depth to it, and color 2 has additional depth to it, but you should be careful because sometimes you can add some unwanted artifacts because of how deep it adds the harmonics. But let's take a listen. So let's look at like around 16,000-ish. And let's kind of mess with this. Let's keep it at color number 1.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around. Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around.
So I think that's pretty good. Let's add some reverb to this vocal because it's really dry right now, and that'll kind of help us really just see if we really like it that way. Just a short reverb and a long reverb.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around. Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around.
So there you go. Basically, it's adding some crispiness to the vocal. Let's listen to the vocal by itself. So without it.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
And then again with it.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
It's basically adding those harmonics in the high end that really does like what a saturating plugin would do. Don't sleep on the Exciter, guys. It like really can make a difference, and it's a stock plugin that people kind of forget exists. The second plugin I want to show you guys today is the pitch shifter. And I've shown you guys the pitch shifter in like really old tutorials in the past. Let me just show you how it works. So basically you go down to pitch and pitch shifter, and this is the plugin. So it automatically defaults to vocals. Again, I'm showing you how this works on a vocal, but you can use this on any sort of track to accomplish whatever you want to do. The mix is just a dry wet knob, tells you how much of the vocal is being affected by the effect. If you're putting it on your main vocal chain, then you'll want to tone this down to taste. But if you're gonna bust out the pitch shifter effect, then you'll want your mix to be at 100% and then use the bust knob to actually gauge how much of the effect is being pushed through. So in this case, we've got it on the main channel strips, so we're gonna keep this pretty low. And then let me just show you what it does. Basically, it's sending a copy of your vocal to be shifted by however semitones or cents that you decide to have here. So let's say I wanna put it up by like 6 cents. Let's see what that sounds like.
Oh, would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
So some people might think that this makes it sound like there are more than one singer, but really what it's doing is copying the exact vocal and just putting a vocal that's slightly at a different pitch, however you manipulate it here. Now, there's a way to really use this to make your vocal sound really, really wide. So let me show you how to do that. Basically, instead of having it here on the main channel strip, we're going to add a bus, and that bus is going to have a pitch shifter. And we're going to put the mix to 100% since we're bussing it out, because then we'll be able to use this volume knob to manage the mix rather than this one. And then we're going to put it up 6 cents. And then not just that, we're going to actually pan it all the way to the right. Then we're going to add another bus with a pitch shifter as well. But rather than going positive 6 cents, we're going to go negative 6. Make sure the mix is at 100. And then we're going to pan that 100% to the left. So now we have 2 different pitch. We have +6 and -6 cents, and we have them panned right and left. So now when we start putting those in through the bus faders, it's going to add this wider effect to your vocal. And again, I'm showing you the example with the vocal, but you can use this on any kind of track. So let's take a listen as I add these in.
Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around. Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
So you can imagine how many things you can do with the pitch shifter. This is just one way I like to use it. Occasionally, it depends on the track, of course, but it's a very, very powerful plugin, and you can use it for a lot of different things, not just vocals. Okay, before I show you the last most underrated stock plugin inside of Logic, I just want to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the easiest ways to distribute your music. If you're making music and you want to distribute it on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, you name it, you can do it through DistroKid, and it's super, super affordable. The best thing about it is that all you do is pay $19.99 per year per artist, and you can release as many songs, as many singles, albums, EPs, whatever you want, under that one artist name, just for that one annual fee. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. You've heard me talk about it before on this channel, and that's because I personally use DistroKid and have used DistroKid for over the last decade to release all of my music that you can find on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever else you stream music. The cool thing is they're always adding new features that are always focused for the artist who wants to promote their music. So you have a lot of tools and features at your disposal once you join DistroKid. So if you go into goodies and promote yourself, they have this feature called Hyperfollow. And basically you can create one link where you can put your album artwork for your release. You can choose which links will be displayed so that basically you can direct people to one link, and then they can choose the streaming platform or store that they prefer to use. And that way you don't isolate or alienate any part of your audience. Everybody can go to this one link, find your music however they want to find it. This link is created as soon as you've submitted your music to DistroKid. So even though your music has not been released yet, if you have an actual release date set, this link will be created and it will show people when the release date is. It will allow them to pre-save it on Spotify or Apple Music. And it's just a super handy tool as you're sharing and promoting your music on social media. So I highly, highly recommend it. If you've got music that you're waiting to release, don't hesitate to use DistroKid and use the link in the description and you'll get 7% off. Let's jump back into Logic. I'm going to show you the last plugin that I want to highlight today, and it is the Chorus plugin. Now, a lot of people might think that the Chorus plugin is basically a pitch shifter, but it is not. I'm going to tell you exactly what it actually is. So if you go down to modulation and chorus, it will add a chorus effect. So basically you've got your mix knob, which again, if you're adding the chorus to your main channel strip, then you'll want to make sure you kind of mess around with the mix. Otherwise, if you're bussing this out, you'll want it to be at 100%. And rather than using the mix knob, you're going to use the knob for the bus. The intensity is basically how hardcore do you want this effect to be, and the rate is the frequency that it's utilizing to make the effect. So if we go into the Logic Pro user guide, it says the chorus effect delays the original signal and the delay time is modulated with an LFO. The delayed modulated signal is then mixed with the original dry signal. You can use the chorus effect to enrich the incoming signal and create the impression that multiple instruments or voices are being played in unison. So basically, rather than it being like the pitch shifter where you're sending a copy of your vocal to be then in a different pitch to give you that wide effect, this is doing something slightly different, where rather than it affecting the pitch, it's affecting the timing. So similar to when you're singing with a bunch of people together, not everyone is going to pronounce the words at the same exact time. They're going to be slightly off from each other. And that gives you an audio clue into that there are more than one person singing. And so that's what the chorus effect does. So let's take a look here and see what it sounds like.
Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around. Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah.
So obviously, depending on the vocal and the genre and the feel that you're looking for on the particular vocal or track that you're trying to affect, you'll be able to kind of just mess with these knobs and see how intense you want it to be. I think if I were going for like a traditional, just like chorusy sound effect, I think this is pretty close to what I'd be looking for. Let's play it with the mix.
Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get.
And just for reference, I'm going to actually turn off my buses to the pitch shifter so you can hear what the chorus is doing by itself without the pitch.
Oh, who would have thought I would be myself lately, yeah. So hopeful that my vibes don't get crushed this time around.
So there you have it, guys. Those are 3 highly underrated plugins that I think every producer should be aware of if you're using Logic Pro. They're super easy to use and can really make a difference and help you be a little bit more creative and unique in the way that you mix your vocals and any other kind of tracks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos. And as always, if you ever have any questions or want to see more content, check me out on Instagram. Keep making beats.